What up, everybody? Welcome to a classical Friday edition of the Skolcial Network. Brev, I think the sketch thing is isn't it over with? Well, I guess he's like a template now on TikTok.
It's just so easy to do at this point now. Like, I don't even think
Didn't he tear his ACL at the draft and then he was just
not.
walking?
I don't know. He was just fine.
Should be playing for the Denver Nuggets with that type of flop. Haha, topical Minnesota sports reference. Never do what you're doing again. Happy first day of rookie minicamp. Happy overreaction to JJ McCarthy in completing a pass to a coach day. I guess. Apparently a lot of Ohio State accounts are having a field day with that one.
I wonder if they'd have a field day with JJ McCarthy's record against Ohio State.
They don't acknowledge that for some reason specifically. But while we could sit here and talk about the joy and optimism of rookie minicamp and what that represents, unfortunately, it's probably going to mean some pretty sad news for some other players on the roster. And with Brev and I being the emo boys that we are, Brev's a big Bring Me the Horizon fan. I'm a big A Day to Remember, Stick to Your Guns type guy. We both love the New Story So Far record. Hopefully they could sponsor us, Pure Noise Records, huh? I think that's their label. Yeah?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, I still remember things from my scene days. But we want to talk about some potential sad news because some players are going to get cut. Some players are going to lose their jobs. Before we do that, I don't want to forget to mention this sick shirt that I am wearing from a up-and-coming company that reached out to me on Twitter called Prospect Sports. These are limited collector's edition shirts. They got JJ McCarthy. They got some Anthony Edwards shirts along with players from other teams. Check them out on Twitter. Prospect. It's Prospect with a Z in the middle. Sports apparel. Or yes, just making sure I have that right. Awesome shirt. Really cool to already be rocking some JJ McCarthy merch. But with that in mind, Brev, we've been talking about potential roster cuts. It seems like the same 3 or 4 names get thrown around, mainly in the DB room. What are your thoughts on guys like seeing maybe Andrew Booth?
Yeah, and I do want to say that is a really cool shirt, Prospect. I love that shirt. I think anybody that has that shirt would be lucky to have that shirt. I'm just
very lucky. They are limited edition as well.
Very true. So true. I think. Well, I've kind of made my opinions on the matter quite obvious, and that I think a Caleb Evans should get the axe. But recent reports are that he's in a pretty good spot for corner 3. So there goes that, I guess. But, you can't believe reports this time of year. People that claim they have sources, but we've been over that. So I think, again, the locked in is Byron and Shaquille and Makai. And again, in that same report, Makai wasn't it's not a guarantee he's going to be a starting outside corner week 1, which, a lot of things can change. And maybe we drank the Kool-Aid a little bit too much on him and the coaching staff doesn't see him in that light, that's fine. But that seems to be your 3 that are locked in, as well as Najee Thompson. Because I know he doesn't really play corner, but he is a corner, and he is going to make the roster. His position is corner. He's going to make the roster for special teams. So that is your 4 locked in. Everybody else seems to kind of be in limbo.
Up in the air. Up in the air a little bit.
Yeah, so true.
Okay. The bit. It's dead. It's over. Are you just chugging Kool-Aid right now? What is going on?
Stuff's good. Stuff is great. It's real good. It is really good. You know what bit is not?
Are you really getting into the summer vibes up there in Virginia right now?
Yeah, it was
creamy coconut Dr. Pepper. You got to mix that with some Malibu.
No, it tastes good on its own.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're really trying to get the Friday vibes going.
Well, yeah, if you're really trying to get the Friday vibes going, you could go to SeatGeek and use code Brev for $20 off your first purchase. And I don't know, maybe go to the Timberwolves game on Sunday and watch them eliminate the Nuggets. It's up to you.
It could happen, right? So, You know what's funny? You mentioned Mackay. I saw something on Twitter. I forgot exactly who posted it, but it was an article saying that he's a cut candidate, and I think that's crazy because I think his physicality just fits so well. Now, obviously, he had a couple not so smart moments last year where he kind of just stopped playing football in the
Yeah,
middle
that
of a football
sucked.
game.
That
Yeah,
made
it
me
wasn't great.
upset.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like I've shared before in the pod, I'm a USC fan, so I'm a big fan of Mackay Blackman. I was very happy with that draft class last year. But do you hear some weird mic feedback coming out? I think that's on your end.
I don't hear anything. Maybe it is. Maybe it's your annoying ass voice. I don't know.
That is extremely annoying. I think it's you. It's happening when you move.
It's got to be. It's got. How about now?
This is. I always think back to the time we posted our intro video on Twitter and somebody said a high production Vikings podcast. Finally. Nope, never going to happen. This fan base. If you saw the report about how much teams, like fans, spend at games, the Vikings were the lowest in the league. Podcasts are going to be the same way. We're going to find the cheapest equipment we can on Amazon and ride with it.
What a
But
stupid
Mackay
asshole that
Blackman,
guy was.
Mackay Blackman, I think is probably safe. But do you think Kyrie Jackson replaces what he brings, or do you think there's no problem with having guys with similar athleticism and physicality?
I think that I'm looking. It's hard because I do think Kyrie could beat out Mackay Blackman potentially for like that spot. I think your two starting corners, day one, are gonna be, and that wasn't a sketch. That was me actually opening my eyes and thinking, or closing my eyes and thinking. Sorry. I think they're gonna be Shaquille Griffin and Byron Murphy, and I guess everybody else is kind of fighting for that three. Byron Murphy can play outside. I guess you kind of want him to be in the slot more, but although not many people realize that he was kind of not good at all in the slot last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the
The guy
slot,
who could do everything, we were told
yeah,
in free agency, couldn't
yeah,
do a very important thing, which is
yeah,
fine. He was great on the outside for us. I mean, compared to what we'd been dealing with.
yeah. And in his defense, in the Brian Flores defense, that slot is going to be targeted a lot because that's where you're going to get the ball up quick. Are you still getting feedback? Are you okay now?
No, we're
Everything okay?
good. It
Okay,
it
good,
sounds. I could hear your beautiful voice without any
good,
sort of like cat murder noise in the background.
good, good. Anyway, yeah. All right. So, um, yeah, no, I think everybody's kind of fighting for three. I think Kyrie Jackson could very easily kind of replicate what Mackay Blackman did because Mackay Blackman, he was just like a third round pick, I think, last year, third or fourth round, third. Yeah, third.
Third.
Kyrie Jackson, I think, is a better prospect than Mackay Blackman was. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Kyrie Jackson. I maybe I'm just high on Kyrie. Maybe I've been smoking some of that Kai, but no. Well, I guess that would be Kyrie and Mackay. I like them both.
Wow.
Um, so
Here's my ideal situation. I don't
Yeah.
know where you're going either.
Take it.
For once, I'll try to right the ship. But I would love a situation where if somebody's going to get cut, because somebody's going to have to be from that room, and it's very likely going to be between Booth or Evans at some point. I think if Andrew Booth can really have a strong preseason and training camp, I like the physicality of that room with him, Mackay, and Kyrie. You
Oh yeah.
confuse me with the Kai. I love just the raw physicality that that group presents, but all of them, the kind of downside in their scouting or what we've seen of them in the pros so far is that sometimes that physicality causes them to commit a little too hard and end up getting burnt and losing their man. Hopefully, they all three can just not have that happen, and we have the hardest hitting cornerback room in the league.
Can we vie? Can we start a petition to cut Byron Murphy? No offense to Byron Murphy, and then have Mackay Blackman and Kyrie Jackson be the outside corner. We don't even have to cut Byron. We can just like let his contract expire after next year, whenever that is, and have Mackay Blackman and Kyrie Jackson on the outside and call them Mackay Jack Black.
That would have been way funnier if you weren't giving that feedback noise again somehow. I don't know.
No.
Where did you buy your mic from? A Payless?
Amazon. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, I got mine on there, but I spent the whole $45. I didn't go with
Oh,
the
this one was like
15.
30.
Yeah, see, that's the difference in quality you get. I don't know what's going on your end. There's some weird feedback. This is a professional setup here. But speaking of physicality and prospects who were picked specifically for their physicality in the defensive backfield, is there anything Lewis Cine can do to make this team, given the roster depth at safety?
Um, Jason, that's a really good question. You're just full of good questions. For Lewis Cine to make the team, I think he would probably have to turn on the Xbox, unless he's a PlayStation guy, and open up Madden. And I think that's how he makes the team.
Haha.
IRL, yeah, that took you way too long. I've never heard that in my life.
I thought
Uh,
you were going to say learn plays on there because some people claim that they do that,
Possibly.
and
I
that's
mean,
been a knock on them.
Ben Lieber was on Vikes now like a month and a half ago, and very heavily implied that like he's not picking up the playbook. Paul Allen was on the show a month ago, and he named every single safety but Lewis Cine. So unless there's something that we don't know about Lewis Cine, I don't know how he makes the team, because I would literally have every other safety on the roster right now instead of Lewis Cine, and I'm
Including Theo
fine.
Jackson, who came
And
in, got
yes,
burnt for a touchdown, or what did he do? He did something where he like gave up a big pass interference or dropped an interception or
mhm,
something, and then the next play had an interception against the
yeah,
Eagles, which meaningless in the grand scheme of how those games in Philly go. But it was a cool moment to see him come out of nowhere and do that.
and let me, maybe I'm not being clear enough here. I would much rather have Theo Jackson on the Minnesota Vikings than Lewis Cine. And I'm not saying that to be like a hot take artist, because I don't think it is. If it's, he's not like, you can cry all you want about he snapped his ankle in London 2 years ago, but he didn't get any snaps last year. He played like 8 defensive snaps last, like eight. And like Theo Jackson was getting reps. So well, I don't, there's been no reason to have hope in Lewis Cine at all whatsoever. And that injury is just kind of like an excuse Vikings fans make to hold out hope.
Well, if
And
anything, that
I did too.
injury should have presented an opportunity to like learn the playbook even more. The excuses of, hey, he's a physical guy, he's in the gym a lot, whatever people were trying to throw out there a couple years ago, even last season, are out the window when if you're hurt, obviously you have to recover. I'm not saying that, oh, you just sit on your ass and do nothing. There's a lot of, especially with that type of injury. I think he was in London an extra few days, couple
Yep.
weeks, something like that. Like, that's a serious thing, especially for a young player. But you have to be focused on your mental game at that stage, especially if your coaches are making it clear that that's your weak spot. It's inexcusable. And do I want, you made the point I'd rather see Theo Megan than Lewis. In in an optimistic sense, I'd rather see it be Lewis Cine because hopefully that means that something has changed and that he's going to be able to play and contribute. As a first round pick, you would hope. But I don't see that happening. And the Lewis Cine thing is just so funny because people use it as the starting point of all their Kwesi hate. I think it was a bad pick, but I also think that he would have been drafted by somebody within the next 3 or 4 picks early in the second round. There was
I think
rumors
there's
about
a
Tampa
chance.
Bay, a few other teams. NFL scouting departments loved his physicality at the safety position and his ability just to be a heat-seeking missile. Without knowing the play, you don't know even where you're supposed to be. You can't do that in the NFL with the speed and the complications of the offense and shifts that you're seeing on every play. It doesn't translate. But it's not even Quasi's scouting department. I think it was still Spielman's, wasn't it, at the time?
At that
Some
time, yeah.
holdovers. Yeah. So, I mean, they weren't the only ones that got fooled. Quasi just saw the value, which, yeah, was a mistake. But it's one that this is the offseason to decide if it's time to move on from that or if there's something we're salvaging. Because we can't have, to your point, him not even be active. I think it was active, what, 1 or 2 games last year? Something like that?
Not a lot.
I
When
That
I
can't
saw
you can't have somebody on the roster doing that,
no,
regardless of where they were picked.
when I saw, let alone especially a first round pick less than 2 years ago, um, because I held out hope for Lewis Cine, like early this before this previous season, I'd be like, okay, yeah, Brian Flores, Ed Donatel,
He's gonna do
Ed
something.
Donatel's,
He's gonna
yeah,
cook something up.
yeah, Donatel's kind of a terrorist. So oh no, God, we just lost monetization. Uh, when I
Say goodbye to
saw,
that $2.50.
yeah, in Philadelphia, when I saw Theo Jackson trot onto the field instead of Lewis Cine, whoever, I don't even remember who was being relieved. It might have been Bynum, I don't know. But Theo Jackson came out on the field and played instead of Lewis Cine. That's when I was like, uh-oh. That's the moment I knew, yeah, the Cine probably like just sucks.
We've
That's that.
seen the last of him, you may say. Could say that's where you started to lose all hope. Yeah, it's not so fun being on the receiving end of the pun train, is it?
Fuck, he's good. He's so good.
It's okay. We'll go back to a place of safety for you.
Okay. You really got me in a corner here.
He's not a corner, but it was a good attempt.
Anyways. This is a secondary joke.
All right. This is the monetization's back, baby. YouTube can't deny this. When it comes to scene, cap space and cap impact, I believe he's due for what? What am I looking at here? I think in 2024 he's due only for about like close to about 1.4. I think it's 1,384,000. That post June 1st, you don't think he'll be cut pre June 1st? Do you like what do you think the odds are of that? Maybe after OTAs, or do you think it would be a mini camp decision?
I mean, I guess you'd think mini camp, but like
Or training camp, sorry. Do you think it would be mini camp or training camp?
I don't like. Either way, you're saving money. Like, I think if you post it, post June 1st that you're eating money this year and getting more money next
2.2.
year.
Yeah,
and then vice
2.2.
versa.
Yeah. And then I think if it's pre June 1st, it's like in the like 3.5, something like that.
And over the
But
cap, it says cap hit at 3.13.
yeah. Oh, got it. I was looking at the salary. But yeah, that's here's the thing. Like you look at the cap percentage, I love over the cap. It's so funny how like the actual format of the website hasn't been updated since like the early 2000s, it looks like. But he's taken up 1% of the cap. But when you look at that and the number of other players that are going to get cut potentially, or any restructures or things like that, like you could save, anywhere post training camp, 5-6% of the salary cap could go towards getting or signing or trading for a pretty solid contributor to the team. We're not talking chump change, but like you said, if the focus is really like that salary cap massive space next year on the cap, then it makes sense to do it pre June 1st.
Yeah.
Now, if he gets cut either way, I think there's going to need to be a corresponding move. There's one that's been rumored on and off for a couple years that, as much of it pains me to say, I'm ready to admit I think needs to be done. And this is a fan favorite, and we were talking pre-show, and are kind of in agreement.
On the team.
Oh, dude, don't get me started. When people get mad, oh, you said we. Shut
up, loser. Shut up, you nerd.
Dork.
You're a nerd.
Yeah. But when you look at a player who is a massive fan favorite in 2022, this is where people are going to start to get in their feels a little bit.
You're going to say we have to cut TJ Hawkinson and eat $10 million in cap this year, but free up $20 million next year. That's what you're going to say.
Oh no, you're thinking too big for me, buddy. 4 carries for 7 yards in 2022, 1 carry for 7 yards in 2023, and then with receiving in 2023, a grand total of 7 receptions for 25 yards. You got to ask yourself, how valuable is CJ Ham to your offense? Now, obviously, his main purpose in the offense is pass protection because I think we learned a little bit last year, Brev, that our running backs can't pass protect.
Yeah, it's putting it lightly. Yeah.
But good news is Aaron Jones was one of the better pass blocking running backs in the league last year. Obviously, he won't be in every down, but that does to an extent offset CJ Ham on those deep shot plays, things like that, where the running back isn't having to actually go out and try to catch a pass. I love CJ Ham. He's a great dude. He's taken over the mantle of Adam Thielen for, the Thielen softball tournament. He's obviously a Minnesota guy. He's one of those guys who is a fan favorite for a reason, gives back to the community. But does he make sense for this offense given what he's actually contributing, Brev? Like, does it make sense to continue to have him on the roster?
I think he's literally still on the team at this moment because of his locker room presence. Because organizations do like that. I there's been times where I've seen CJ Ham sent out wide, like like an empty,
Oh, yeah.
and he's that receiver, and I'm just like, what? What are we doing?
One of his catches, I think this year or last year, was out wide.
Yeah, definitely was. And at that point, I'm just like, what? Like what? Why? I don't understand. This is one of my Kevin O'Connell like outsmarts himself little nitpicks that happens, but I don't know. Like I for the savings it would be, which I think it'd be like $3 million or something. I don't.
2.5 poster in first.
Yeah, I don't. It's 2.5.
I think it would be a training camp. I think it would be a training camp decision because I think otherwise they would have decided by now.
And maybe I think Minnesota views him as an offensive weapon. So like, I don't know. I'm not saying.
But he had a grand total of 32 yards.
I know.
What type of weapon is that?
Well, offensive linemen are weapons. Are you casual?
You're one of those. I mean, it's different.
You
know what I mean? Like, I look at them more as, if we're going to go with the battle metaphor, I look at them more as like defensive protection, right? The offense needs to be able to allow itself to function, which is where those types of guys, including CJ Ham, come in. But he's not actively helping you to score or move the ball himself. I mean, I look at his total amount of rushing touchdowns in his career is 3. 2 of those came in 2022 near the goal line. Now, do I think Kevin O'Connell could have used him more at the goal line this year? I don't know. Maybe a certain fourth or first and goal where for some reason Nick Mullins threw the stupidest pass I've ever seen for a touchdown. Yeah, I probably would have given it to Chandler or Ham there. Receiving touchdowns, 2, 2019 and 2020. Like, you're not missing a huge piece of your offensive production. Again, I think it comes down to pass protection, but if you trust Aaron Jones, what are we doing?
I don't know. I think the way I'd be okay with keeping him is if Kevin O'Connell understood, like, you can run I form on the goal line and give it to a fullback. Like you can.
He did it twice in 2022.
Like if you're watching, you can do that. You can line up an I form and give it to a full. Like it's okay. You can do that. That's allowed. I'd be fine with him doing that. But other than that, and again, like when you have as much cap space as Minnesota does, like $2.5 million, like are we tripping? Like all the money's important.
But why pay someone? Like, it's not like you're paying JJ McCarthy top 10 pick money to sit there and develop. It's not that situation. Yeah. It's an underutilized position in this entire style of offense, which is why people were predicting this the second Kevin O'Connell got hired. Yeah. And we haven't really seen him used for much. And again, this isn't an anti-CJ Ham thing. I think he's a great dude. He's been a Pro Bowl fullback. but just in this current roster, how it's constructed and how he's been shown to have been used by this offense, I don't know, like $2.5 million. You're right, it's not that much. But if you're one of those people on Twitter saying they wouldn't offer JJ 37 million a year, they would only offer him 34 a year because the 3 million matters. Well, here's how you solve that.
Nerds,
absolute nerds.
I
Love you
think
all in the most loving way. Some of those are
no.
mutuals, but absolute nerd assessment of $3 million.
Absolutely, get a life. Talk to a woman. Like if they're just going to continue to not use CJ Ham, then fine. Like then obviously I'm fine with it. But there's, I feel like it just all goes back to my like, Kevin, what are we doing on these short yardage situations? Like you have somebody who can just get it in there, just get it in there, you know. And I'm not just talking in the end zone. I'm talking like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Like watching this team try to convert on 4th.
Yeah, but why do that when you can have Brandon Powell be back there shoving Nick Mullins?
The fact like that's what I'm
twice in a row.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's an area, that's a perfect example of a CJ Ham potential impact that isn't necessarily a stat for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be fine. Like, if you're not going to use him, yeah, obviously get rid of him. You could use that $2.5 million to go sign a wide receiver 3. Maybe. I don't know.
Apparently, it's Brandon Powell season, baby. We're going with the shortest group of wide receivers possible.
Cool.
I'm still mad about the Brendan Rice thing. I think the Vikings would have probably looked at him if he was there, but he got taken a few picks before. But then I think we would have missed out on Reichard. But anyone maybe? What about Ryan Wright? That's a name that's been thrown out there.
I think he's safe. I don't know what happened to him this past season. I think he'll win the punting competition with whoever that other nerd kick is, and he'll be fine.
You don't think a guy who was on the Falcons rookie team last year, rookie minicamp team, and wore number 78 or something as a punter, you don't think he's the biggest threat on earth?
No, I'm not really feeling it. Like if Ryan Wright can replicate 2022, I looked forward to punting in 2022. That was pure electricity.
I don't know what happened.
I don't either.
I've never seen such a weird fall off like that.
It's definitely got to be female related.
Maybe something's not right in his head. Maybe
his dad yelled at him or something.
I don't know. He is young, but yeah. I mean, well, the Vikings haven't had a consistent punting performance since what? Chris Kluwe?
No,
that's a throwback. Well, hey, I'm just saying, punting. I think that's really the last time we saw a consistent punter. He was there for 6 years.
Respect Jeff Locke.
That was 3-4 years. We got 2 good years and then kind of a fall off.
Jordan Berry wasn't that bad either, but they cut him for Wright. I was shocked. Remember Jordan Berry? He was
apparently they didn't think he was very good. All right, let's punt on this conversation.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. This isn't.
One of the quarterbacks is getting cut. This is a spicy debate. Do you think it's going to be Hall or Mullins?
Well, I wrote about this on purpleptsd.com.
Wow, it's almost like I teed that up on purpose.
I actually thought about texting this as a topic, but I
know. I threw this in on purpose.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're so smart. Everybody give Jason a pat on the back. And the use of Jason H code at SeatGeek. It should be Hall. It should easily be. I don't think it should be conversation. It should be Hall. Taking all things into account, it's not that I dislike Jaron Hall. Darnold and McCarthy are the new kids on the block. Great band. Also true and relevant in this conversation. I think you have to keep one guy that knows the offense and has shown, as much as an idiot Nick Mullins can be, they move the ball when he plays. So like if
Sometimes the wrong direction, but yeah.
sometimes, but they averaged 400 plus yards a game when Nick Mullins was quarterback.
That was so fun.
It's awesome. It was
It was.
sick.
I have
It was
never
sick.
gone into a Vikings game because typically in history, it's been like, oh, we're out of the playoffs, and it's like time to see Matt Castle try to.
Yeah.
What's the point of this game?
Mhm.
But like
Here comes
with
Sage Rosenfels.
with Nick Mullins, it was like I I don't know what we're in for, but it's gonna be funny.
Pure, unadulterated, rip your face off, Nick Mullins, and I love Nick Mullins. Look at Jaron Hall. He was drafted to be a project. Just a little minor swing on a quarterback by Kwesi and Kevin last year, I guess. But now Kevin is taking a slight, kind of a backseat on the offensive play calling, game planning, game clamming. Whoa! Maybe I was drinking with Wes Phillips, who I was about to bring up, that he will be taking more of a role in the game planning and design and installation and play calling. Kevin O'Connell, like they're tied to McCarthy. You got Darnold, who's going to be the bridge. Nick Mullins is the failsafe if McCarthy isn't ready to start and Darnold doesn't go down, because Mullins can move the ball. That kind of leaves Jaron Hall as the odd man out. Not saying he wouldn't make the practice squad. I think he could totally come make the practice squad. I don't know how long.
Do you really? Is there any benefit to that?
No.
I mean,
no.
You just hope he shows up next preseason and looks good enough to get you like a 6th round pick or something. Like I don't understand.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. I think with how this team's trying to evaluate young talent, any wasted spot on the practice squad is a little dicey. Look, I was more hyped than almost anyone on earth for Jaron Hall's start against Atlanta. And I was at the NASCAR championship race, streaming that bad boy on my phone through a VPN because it wasn't letting me stream it for some reason because I was at a sporting venue.
Mm.
And then he goes down. And then he comes back and plays on New Year's Eve. My wife, my kid, and I fly out for that game. I'm hyped. I'm like, the Nick Mullins thing was kind of entertaining, but this is going to be the future potentially. And it was really after the game when I saw the Sunday Night Football video cut up of Kevin O'Connell reacting to what he was seeing, where I was like, you know what? I knew that was bad, but I don't think I understood how bad it actually was. And I don't think it's his fault. He played at, BYU isn't what it used to be. Sue me. And he was a 5th round pick. The expectations shouldn't have been there. I do think I cannot believe this is a sentence that's about to leave my mouth. God forbid if Sam Darnold goes down, I hope Nick Mullins is the guy who can come in and replace him, because I really do think that J.J. McCarthy is going to need time. If he doesn't need time, I trust KOC to throw him out there whenever he's comfortable with it, but I don't want him to get rushed out there because of an injury. Man, you know what? Maybe I take back my... I got roasted a little bit by some fans of ours in a space we did about our record prediction, and I know, shocking, and it's big fans. Maybe I take that back just based off the sentence I had to say. And okay, the mic feedback you have seriously sounds like someone's farting into your mic right now.
Maybe they are.
What's going to be really funny is when this posts. What are we doing here? What are we?
Let's drink.
Well, I can tell. Where's this coming from?
Here's a pic of me in the foot.
All right. Anyways. Yeah, if we weren't demonetized before, it's definitely happened. Yeah, it's got to be Nick Mullins, period. I think the depth chart will probably say J.J. McCarthy's QB2, but I think with... Well, actually, no, it can't with the new rules. I think J.J. McCarthy will be QB2 eventually, but I think...
Construction going on outside. That's what it is.
Got it. Yeah, that's what that noise was. But I definitely think Nick Mullins is the best option if Darnold gets hurt early in the year. Any other bold predictions? A Justin Jefferson cut? I'm kidding. That is not even worth joking about.
You know how cool it'd be to operate a jackhammer?
I can ask my wife. She's a project coordinator on a construction site.
Oh,
I could see if she
oh,
could. Oh dear God! I could see if she can steal one, and I don't know if that would work out well. But just say I need this for project coordination, and just take it. What? Why? Where are the memes? Why? Why the memes?
I don't know.
What are we doing here? All right. With that, we've been the Skolcial Network.
Well,
Hopefully,
you wanted bold predictions from me. This is
bold
us.
prediction is just.
This is us.
Did you just take that? What are you doing?
That's us.
You know what it is? It's your phone next to the mic, next to your computer.
Well, that might be it, but there's also construction going on outside.
No. It's not construction. It is feedback into the mic. It's a buzzing noise.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's what it is.
It's because you have your phone. And so this episode is going to have this obnoxious noise in it because you've been sitting on your phone this whole time just sorting out memes.
No.
We'll see you guys next week. Use code JasonH on SeatGeek to save $20 off your first purchase.
Sign Hunter Renfro's wide receiver 3.